Welcome to our virtual field trip with Professor C.C. Etter. Glad you could join us today. And here we are, May of 2025, traveling along Cranberry Highway on the mainland, then to Route 6 down to Point Road in Marion, Massachusetts. We're going to be looking at some of the biodiversity for the salt marshes on one of the Sipican Lands Trust properties. It's about 20 acres and it goes right down to Buzzards Bay. And there's a few little precautions that we won't have to worry about taking this virtual field trip. But if you decide to go off on your own, please go ahead and follow the following rules and regulations in regards to having an enjoyable time for not just all the people, but the animals and sustaining this habitat also. Here we're looking at just a maps and some of the information about the Osprey Marsh. That's where we'll be walking down today. And you can bring your pets, but they ask you to keep them on a leash and, of course, pick up from them. I am here today with my own dogs, and we greatly appreciate this particular property. It is handicap accessible, and you can take the boardwalk all the way down to the shore, or you can take a dirt trail, which is also very nice, or you can do a loop about. There's a little bit of parking over at the beginning of the trail. This is from the app All Trails, which I do greatly appreciate, and it gives us a little further information about this particular trail. It is at about sea level up to 29 feet, so there is not a big elevation. And this also coming to us from All Trails in regards to the path down and what elevation we will be undergoing or maneuvering, I guess you could say, and that you can see the marked marsh area on both sides of our trail, and that will make a difference in the biodiversity that we're going to be talking about. Here we are using another app. It's called iNaturalist, and it has identified one of the plants for us. And so as I walked down the trail, I took some pictures of the different plants and I put it into the observations in this app, and it helped me identify it. Here is a map of the two different trails. One being a handicap accessible one, which is also great for strollers, walkers, etc. And then the lower blue one is that dirt path, which is very nice also. And we're back at the beginning and we're leaving the parking lot area. We're going to take a moment to look at the kiosk. It's always good to see if there's any warnings up there. It has the image of the trails as well as the Buzzards Bay Coalition's water quality report. There is a beautiful covered pavilion if somebody wanted to sit there and have a little group get together or a picnic even. And you can see on the accessibility side of it, it has the crushed stone and a wide path. And then as we get down to areas that need more solid type substrate, we will be on a wooden boardwalk. And this is where the two trails separate. Here's another organism. I'm hoping you're able to take a picture of this and identify it with the iNaturalist or with the picture this or a dichotomy key. And I have some links available to you for your use on the web. Here is another organism too, right along this path. And as you can see, this particular area has been disturbed by human activity, and so it may be more prone to some of the invasive species. So we'll be looking at both invasive species and native species. And as we go from this upland area, we will go through a forested area. Here is yet another organism that was in this particularly disturbed area. And so we'll look at that identification. We have a wide variety of grasses, low lying organisms like this one right here, and also mature trees as well as decaying trees. It is a very high level of biodiversity in this area, and there are many different types of organisms from all of the different kingdoms. We'll also be seeing another favorite organism of mine, the lichens. Here's one other one to go ahead and identify and to be extra careful of that you do not touch this one with your skin because some people are very allergic to it. So I hope you're getting a feel for how this trail meanders through this wooded area and how we're working our way down and we'll be going across the marshes and then we will get right to the shoreline where we meet the Buzzards Bay and they're using some stones so that if we have the heavy rain events that the path is still kept intact. Another very common organism we found along the trail, these low-lying shrubs and plants were abundant. Again, we're going through here May of 2025 and you can see a lot of rich decomposing leaves from the past season, and that will provide some of the nutrients for this season as well as the future ones. And that we do have a good bit of greens and sunlight coming through. Here we are looking at some of the lichen. Hopefully, you'll be able to identify any of these. There are at least three different types of lichen there. Lichen are extremely special organism because they actually represent um, two distinctly different organisms from different kingdoms, typically an algae and a fungi, and they are part of our pioneer community. A very abundant tree, type of tree that was along this path is represented right here. So hopefully, again, if you could, go ahead and identify that particular tree. And all of these identifications will be part of your results. And also, you should see the weather for the day that I walked along here. I have provided that too to go into the results section. So wherever you take a walk and make some observations, it is always good to check the weather before you head on out. Um, Make sure you're prepared for rain, the wind, the any of the other issues. And along the coastline, of course, you can look for the high and low tides. And depending on what you're hoping to do for your activities and observations, that you will go to an area at the best time for yourselves. And another organism low lying in this area of the uplands down to the marshes. And I hope you notice there's a nice ridge on the side of protection so that people do not fall over, and that we're just beginning to get the full leaf cover, but it's not quite out yet. And so we still have a lot of sunlight, and therefore many of the organisms are trying to take advantage of that sunlight to do as much growing as they can for this particular season because the trees will block some of the light as we get into the June and July and August. And now, if you can notice on both sides, we are in the wetlands, and that's one of the habitats that the ferns do, they thrive in. And we're coming upon a really wet area, and you'll see it's got the higher railing to it, and it has a very different type of grass, and we should get an image of that right here. I'm hoping you're going to be able to identify that, and you can see below it has the ferns, and above to the top of the image is some other low-lying marsh shrubs there. Typically, the bugs are not too bad even in the summertime here because it does have a pretty good strong wind. It's a comfortable wind and it's enough to keep the bugs usually low lying or at a lower level. So it seems to be a very pleasant habitat to take a hike through and enjoy the nature. And you could say bask in the forest, or some people refer it to as a forest shower. And another abundant type plant along our path is right here. So um, you can also see along both sides if there's any other plants that you identify. On the other trail, going back through the woods on the dirt trail, are some blueberry bushes. And I didn't take an image, but there are some holly trees along here also, pretty small ones. Again, this would be a windy area, so you may not have quite as many of the mature trees. You can see that the ones that have fallen or decayed are not too old trees. They're relatively young. This is a little bit of a harsh environment, being sometimes water soaked and sometimes dry. Here's another representation of a tree along this trail, and this one too does well with those extremes because they also have the saltwater intrusion and then these freshwater events. A note for the value of the marshes is that they are the sponges that will hold on to some of the water so that the water can get purified as it does work its way either to recharge the groundwater or our surface waters like the oceans or lakes and ponds. They also tend to be very high in biodiversity. And here we are looking out on Buzzards Bay. And this is the last stretch, and there is a spectacular platform out here. And I have found no matter what time of year I come, that it is just beautiful. This is a protected bay area off of Buzzards Bay. And so the ocean is to the left, heading out of the bay, and we are looking across at the other side of Marion, Massachusetts. Thank you so much for taking this walk with me. I hope you enjoyed it.
Love Earth, and your love comes back to you. Love Earth, it's such an easy thing to do. Love Earth, till the water and the air is pure. From the birds in the sky